Hello everyone, my name is Gisela Rovira and today I'm presenting my paper on Motherhood and Madness in Maggie O'Farrell's The Vanishing Act of Esme Lennox, blurring boundaries between sanity and insanity. First of all, I would like to congratulate the committee of this seminar and Universidad Complutense de Madrid for having organized such a wonderful day celebrating Women's Day 2023 and for having given us the chance to share our research. So to all of you, congratulations and thank you. The paper I'm presenting today is part of one of the chapters of my PhD. The line between sanity and insanity in The Vanishing Act of Esme Lennox is drawn by the patriarchal society which bring madness to Esme and Kitty Lennox. They are two sisters who belong to an upper-class family from the Edinburgh of the 1930s. From an early age, both sisters are raised with the mentality of getting married, having children, and taking care of their families. They both have to acquire qualities of devotion, submission, grace, and self-sacrifice in order to become angels in the house. While Kitty loves such traits and conventions, Esme does not comprehend them. Not only does she act against all the codes imposed, but she also dares to face all the ideals her society wants to implement over women. However, her voice and opinions are not taken seriously by her family. All her being is considered wrong, and Mr. and Mrs. Lennox detest her for such. Therefore, she is considered an outsider in her class in society. At the ball, Esme is raped by Jamie, the son of an upper-class family. She is in shock after it and unable to speak. Her parents, and I open quote, ignorant of what happened and unlikely to change their course of action if they did know, decide to admit their daughter to a lunatic asylum where she is supposed to learn how to behave, end of quote. Ironically, it is the victim of rape who needs to learn how to behave and not the rapist. Brain claimed that, and I open quote, psychology was an agency through which men could control and suppress women under the guise of scientific and biological dogma, end of quote. Thus, men used psychology and science to domesticate women. Only 2 male signatures were needed to intern a woman. Hence, men were the responsible ones to categorize whether a woman was mad or not. Since they were afraid of women having their own voice, most intellectual and liberal women were diagnosed with hysteria and dementia praecox. Thus, and I open quote, a signature is procured and Esme is committed to a lunatic asylum, end of quote. Once Esme is erased from her family, Kitty tries to fulfill women's expectations in life by getting married to a man she does not know. Neither of them know how to perform on their wedding night, and despite Kitty's obsession with pregnancy, no one has explained her how to achieve it. Things change when she discovers that Esme is pregnant and Kitty steals her baby with Mr. Lennox's permission. After losing her baby, Esme becomes what Elaine Hansen coins as mother without child. She defines this term, and I open quote, as non-traditional mothers and bad mothers, women who have abortions and miscarriages, women who refuse to bear children or whose children are stolen from them, end of quote. Esme's son is stolen and she is condemned alone and mad in the asylum. Nancy Andreasen in The Lancet wonders who the good and sane characters in O'Farrell's novels are, and I open quote, not her parents who abused Esme and then discard her like a piece of trash, not her sister Kitty who colludes with them, steals Esme's child and never visits, not the doctors who commit her, not her suitor Jamie who rapes her and abandons her with no remorse, not Jamie's family who permits all this to happen. End of quote. This quote reflects that Esme is a victim of her society. However, Maggie O'Farrell blurs boundaries by making Kitty, the devoted, perfect daughter, a victim of the female ideals too. After stealing her nephew, Kitty feels like she is fulfilling her duty as a wife by telling everyone that the son is hers. However, she also becomes a mother without child since she does not have the possibility of taking care of him. Kitty's life feels empty as she has a nurse who takes care of the baby and servants who do everything for her. She feels like everything she has fought for in order to have a place in her society has not been enough. This life does not suit her, and the idea of the housewife does not satisfy her. And I open quote. I found my days were rather empty then. I wasn't sure then what I was supposed to be doing. End of quote. I consider that Kitty's position could be an example of Simone de Beauvoir's vision of women being historical ideas, or what Judith Butler defines as performative acts. Kitty has to act as her mother and grandmother. She has to reproduce the historical idea of a woman getting married and having children in order to reach happiness. However, Kitty discovers that performing in this way is hopeless because she does not feel satisfied with her life. Hence, both sisters, one for following the rules and the other for not following them, live a life not worth living. Both of them have been trapped inside women's ideals, and especially inside the institution of motherhood, not letting them enjoy their experiences. It is Adrienne Rich in On Woman Born, published in 1976, who divides the experience and the institution of motherhood to take consciousness of what patriarchy obliges women to do regarding maternity. Rich distinguishes two meanings of motherhood, and I open quote. The potential relationship of any woman to her powers of reproduction and to children, and the institution, which aims at ensuring that that potential and all women should remain under male control. End of quote. Hence, in the Vanishing act of Esme Lennox, the maternities that prevail are the second ones where the institution makes women become mothers. In Esme and Kitty's case, none of them decides over their maternity since Esme is raped and Kitty steals a baby in order to have a place in society. These maternities, which have been imposed on them, bring trauma to both sisters. They do not get a positive experience. Esme loses part of her life and her son in the asylum and never gets to know him because he dies before she is released. And Kitty lives tormented by the thought of having stolen her sister's baby. Figurative and real madness haunt Esme and Kitty due to the alienation they feel from their society and its rules. Both Esme and Kitty live part of their lives interned in institutions. While Esme is put there because her parents do not allow her behavior and label her as mad, Kitty, as an elderly woman, has to live in an asylum because she suffers from Alzheimer's. Her mind is stuck on the past when she took Esme's baby. Her madness is reflected in her fragmented speeches and thoughts, which prove that she is traumatized. This madness can be seen as the result of obeying and accepting society's rules. Ill Kitty loses everything she fought for as she is left apart from society. Actually, while Esme is able to recuperate a place in it when she leaves the mental institution, Kitty loses it. Boundaries are blurred one more time, since readers do not know what happens in the end of the novel. O'Farrell leaves an open ending with the supposed death of Kitty, to which I proposed 3 different endings. On the one hand, the final lines of the novel can be read as Kitty dying of natural causes due to the sudden appearance of her erased sister. All the confrontations between them with the retreats of her stolen baby and all the pain of Esme's stolen life could have caused Kitty's death. On the other hand, the ending might suggest that Esme smothers Kitty. It can be considered that Esme kills Kitty in an act of love, since Esme sees herself reflected in Kitty when being a patient at the asylum. Thus, she decides to free her sister from any suffering and pain. Another reading of this ambiguous ending is that Esme, out of rage and madness, kills Kitty because she wants revenge. since her parents and sister took her life and existence. Now Esme takes them from Kitty. However, Esme is no longer marginalized, no longer punished to the side, deemed incapable or antisocial because she has been freed from the mental asylum. In conclusion, Esme and Kitty can be analyzed as alienated beings whose lives have been manipulated by their society. It does not let them act freely because they are obliged to perform a pattern. Esme and Kitty are clear examples of the damage patriarchal society caused to women. They are not free and hence they live alienated. Their autonomy and will to decide over themselves and maternity are taken by the historical idea males have created over females, leaving them as victims. Through it, and by making her protagonists mad women, Maggie O'Farrell achieves blurring boundaries between sanity and insanity. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and if there is any question or comment, I'll be glad to answer and hear them. Thank you.